Welcome back, Route 40 Rust. Today we're going to lap them valves. And what you're going to need to do that is cribbing, maybe a brass hammer, maybe a plastic hammer, some compound, more compound, maybe emery cloth, this thingy, maybe more compound, and this thingy. Well, the next thing I need to do on my little backup Ford big block build is to give these heads a quick freshening up. Nothing major. I think the right way to do any engine build is to do what you can and then send it to the professionals at the machine shop. But for this engine, that's not the case. It's just a backup engine to a 1970 F350 that I have. That's got a real 390, not one of those. It's a 390 360s. Which this is. I got this on a trade. Man, I got rid of my 77 International Harvester Lodestar dump truck, which is a handful of a vehicle. So I traded that for this engine and some other stuff. And this came off out of a 72 Highboy. Pretty cool truck. It was actually just the rolling chassis. But anywho, got to refresh in the heads while it's apart. This head's already done. I knocked that out like 6 months ago real quick, and then it got cold out and I didn't want to spend time in the barn. But you don't care about that. So I have one more head to do, and I figure I'd do a quick video on lapping the valves because flat out, a lot of guys don't do it anymore. Everything, it seems like, goes to the machine shop, and probably for good reason. But, you know, maybe it's a lost art to get a little rubbing compound and get in there and then clean up an old set of heads. So we'll do that and make a quick video about the how-tos, how-not-tos, the do's, the don'ts, and all that good stuff. Just kidding. Here's the first head I did a while back. How about that Detroit Diesel Alpine Green? I love it. Anywho, this one's all done. Valves lapped. Got new keepers and retainers in there. This is a serviceable item. Other than that, it just got cleaned up and heli coiled up, and this one's ready to go on the engine. Quick disclaimer, I'm going to be pretty rough and rowdy with this head. It's just a run-of-the-mill big block Ford truck head, 203, 156 valves, and I think the only reason I'm going to use it is because it's generally been casted in the shape of a cylinder head, and it's got valves and springs, and it's there. It's just there, and I've already drilled it and put my heli coils in, and it's ready to go. Just keep in mind, this isn't a Cobra Jet cylinder head, which has massive valves like 209 or 209 something. I don't know. I don't do nice things. Anyway, first thing first, valve spring compression tool. This thing's kind of already set in its general configuration. I'm all backwards. Turned around. Your head there. I already got two valves out and going to line them up in order so they can go back in the spot they came out. I had to take them off so I can get them in my drill press and get them where they need to be. Anywho, you've all used one of these. The top part gets on your spring and retainer. Bottom cups the valve. You just kind of boop. Now, here's that disclaimer I was telling you about, getting rough and rowdy. These keepers are stuck in there, which I'm going to replace. I am going to replace them. They're ordered. I'm being careful not to hit the valve stem, but I also have a brass hammer. Yep, there it goes. Your keepers, which are replaceable. I don't care what build you're doing. Go ahead and replace them. They're cheap. Boop. There's two halves on these. Just throw them right here. What am I doing? These FE heads are identical, symmetrical, except for you got bolts in the front of them and the back. So one's for a power steering pump, one's for This is the passenger side, so the bolt holes need to be in the back for an automatic transmission dipstick tube, which is back there. So that's the back. So I took the front valve out. This is the front valve. Front. Organization, guys. Once you need a screwdriver. Once you get your keeper out, get your retainer out, which is that, nothing special. Put that with your keepers. Go ahead and slowly release that puppy. And you get all your spring and your cup. Put that in order. And got me an exhaust valve here. Little guy right there, nothing special. Go ahead and put that in order, and you just do it, I don't know, 8 more times, or for my case, 6, 5, 3, 5 more times is all I gotta do it, and then we'll get to lapping. One thing I'm going to talk about before I get carried away with this is the valve seals. Just an umbrella seal, pretty much sits down on the valve inside of the spring. So take away your spring, and they just sit there on the valve, and they'll self-clearance when you turn the engine over by hand the first time. The valve will open and it'll kind of sit where it needs to sit. And pretty much keeps oil when it's splashing around from going down the guide and into the cylinder. These things, that first valve that I took out, that exhaust valve, I don't recall seeing a seal, which this one was pretty dry rotted, and the valve didn't pull out that smooth. But that's something you replace. It comes with any average seal kit that you get for an engine. There's all sorts of fancy ones that I think press onto the guide, or I don't know. Again, that's fancy stuff, not for me. So anyway, that's your valve seal, just an umbrella one. So this engine, when it was in that highboy chassis just sitting on my buddy's farm, he did his best to keep it covered, but he didn't. And man, I was trying to get this engine off of him for a long time, and he kept, no, I'm going to do something with it one day. And it just kept filling with water. And I finally got it, and the thing was locked up, and I couldn't get it apart, but you can see where water was just seeping through stuff. And, so this cylinder head needs to sit in the parts cleaner and get cleaned up before I can get get physical with it. But I think I'm just going to wire brush the nicest intake valve seat I can, kind of clean it up a little bit just for demonstration purposes. But this thing needs to get soaked, and it's full of metal shavings from me drilling on it and working. Anywho, we'll get one cleaned up and and show how it's done. All right, so here's this particular intake valve. See if I can't hold it up there to the camera and see the shininess. See the shiny, and then there's some pitting right in here. That's what we're trying to get rid of and get the valve to seal to the seat of the cylinder head just a little bit better. There's some specs for, like, if your valve seat is just wallered out. I think it happens more on exhaust valves. The exhaust valve will sit further down in the hole and it'll be recessed down into the head. Might be a sign that you just need to move on with life and get a better head. But I'm not. I'm just not. So first thing you want to do is crib up your head so the valve stem can plop in there and not bang into your workbench. Once you're all cribbed up, you can drop your valve in. Bloop. So we'll go ahead and get some compound on these and get the little tool. And I have a spoon. Well, you gotta have a spoon with you. You never know when you'll come across some stroganoff, which I don't think you eat with a spoon. So here's a common Permatex valve grinding compound. Now it's just a one container fits all because it is a water mix. You can thin it out with water to get a finer compound when you get to almost your finishing cut. Kind of like if you've ever turned rotors or drums on a lathe. I think drums you got to do like a fast coarse cut and then you do a real slow fine cut. The same idea. So you can get one of these. I think I picked this up at Napa for $10-15. And at O'Reilly's they have this Versachem fine metal grinding compound and a coarse metal grinding compound, just so I don't have to mix and I get consistency. I got these two guys. So you start with the coarse, obvious, do that, and you can kind of go by feel when you get the grit in there and look at the face and you clean it off and look at it and keep doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it until your seats look better than what they do. Here we go. Ooh, new tube. Just put you a little dabarooey on there. Oh yeah, much better. Looking great. You can see that nice shiny ring. That came around pretty good. I'll probably move on to fine compound. One thing I want to mention, you might have saw that I had trouble getting the stem to drop down in the guide. Maybe just some grit while you're doing your lapping falls down in the guide, and it's probably bad for the guide in these since it's part of the head. Just take some brake cleaning. Give it the juice. That way your valve. There's still a little gritty stuff, huh? Maybe if I kept the straw, the free straw you get. That's much better. Yeah, you want it to move freely in the guide. I don't want to get compound in there and grind that down, because there's tolerances. There's engineering involved with that. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to fine, and we'll take one final look at it before we're done. Well, there you go. There's an example of how to lap your valves. I'll get the camera in here and show you close up what it looks like. And that one really didn't take too much. Last set I did took a lot. But I'm going to go ahead and get this cylinder head in a parts cleaner and try to get some of this water, rust, and corrosion and, 40, 50 years of stuff out of it. Well, here you go, guys and gals. Here's the seat on the cylinder head. Still a little pitting. I'll probably run some more fine over it when I go to redo the other ones. Here's the big whopping 203 valve. That looks pretty good. A little pit there. Still a little pitting. I don't know what that is. That wasn't pitting, that was just my dirty workspace. But that sure beats that. Well, guys, that's all I have for lapping valves. If you have any tips or tricks or new tools when it comes to doing this, go ahead and comment below. I want to hear about them. I might have done all this wrong, and I don't even know. I've been doing it wrong for years. Let me know what you think. Comment below. And as always, subscribe. Helps me, keeps me motivated to keep pumping out videos. It's getting dark out, and I gotta go put chickens up because, it's springtime and foxes will be having babies, and those babies are hungry, and coyotes have babies and they're hungry, and I'll lose all my chickens. And then I don't have any eggs. And I don't have any eggs, I don't have any omelets. If I don't have any omelets, I don't have motivation to get up in the morning. If I don't have motivation to get up in the morning, I won't have my morning coffee. If I don't have my morning coffee, I won't go to work. If I don't go to work, I don't have money. And then I lose all my tools and my cars. And that would be horrible. I guess my wife and kids would probably take off too. But my cars and my tools, that would hit you right there. Anyway, have a good night, everybody.